What is up, beautiful people? Kirby Hasseman here, trying to deliver you just a little bit more marketing joy. And today, I want to talk to you about lessons I learned from joining Dan Martell's elite coaching program. So if you're getting any value out of these, if you are enjoying these, please feel free to subscribe or to share it with someone who might get some value about it as well. And obviously, if you want to rate the podcast, that helps us spread the word and try and affect and help more people. So please do that if you have a chance. So yes, recently I joined the elite coaching program with Dan Martell. Now, if you don't know who Dan Martell is, he's a host of the Martell Method podcast. He's written a best-selling book called Buy Back Your Time. And I will say that I love that book. And I really enjoy following him on social media. I think he's got a great delivery and a really good insights into how to be more productive, to buy back your time, to use AI, and really to build businesses. One of the things he says is he tries to teach you to build businesses that you don't grow to hate. And for those of us who are in the entrepreneurial space, I think there are times where when things are even going well, can be the most difficult times because we haven't built the systems and processes in place in order to not only grow effectively, but also to enjoy our life while that's happening. So was really interested in his coaching program. I connected with him on LinkedIn. He or his team reached out and kind of offered me to be a part of the program. And what it was, I want to be transparent in this. I spent about $3,000 to be a part of this program for 2 months. And what I want to do today is share just 4 lessons that I learned while I was in the program. Some of them I learned while I was in the program. Some of them was reminded of while I was in the program. So we'll dive into those right now. Number 1, be willing to invest in yourself and be coached. I think that so many of us say, and I've been guilty of this a million times, we say, hey, I want to grow. I want to be successful. I want to build my business. And then we get presented with opportunities where we can invest in ourselves, go to, read books, listen to podcasts, attend conferences, or be in coaching programs like this. And it's almost like always when you're early on, you're like, oh, that's just too much money. Well, and sometimes it is. I understand that budgets are a real thing, but I will say that sometimes we're willing to invest in just about everything other than ourselves. When I saw the price tag on that, I was like, oh, that does feel like a lot of money, but I'm investing in myself. And at the end of the day, I am the product. Making a better version of me is how I kind of escalate to grow my business. In addition, I think that, the second part of that is be willing to be coached. I think that one of the things that, when you grow in business, sometimes I think the challenge is that you start to believe your own headlines, right? You think you've got it all figured out. And usually when that happens, God has a great way of humbling me. That's happened more than one time. And I think that when I am willing to be coached and willing to invest in myself and listen, and that's when I have a level of humility and man, I'm open to ideas. I'm open to hearing things that maybe I already knew, but I haven't been consistently doing. So that was probably the number one takeaway is that I just need to continue to be willing to invest in myself and be coached in areas where I want to grow. So that's number 1. Number 2, Dan talks about the 5 daily non-negotiables. And I thought this was really, really interesting. So his whole thing is if you want to be a part of the program, if you like the program consisted of, there's all kinds of training on the back end. There was a weekly coaching call where you could get in and ask a question to Dan directly. Or you could, and he did teaching as a part of those calls, which that was sort of my favorite, was when he was talking about different frameworks and stuff like that. But if you wanted to ask a question, you had to commit that you were doing the 5 daily non-negotiables. What are those? He set those up so that if you do these 5 things on a daily basis, every single day, non-negotiable, then you are going to be more successful in your life. So what are those? Number 1 was to review your goals 2 to 3 times a day. So you're looking at them on a consistent basis. I think so many times we write down our goals and then we put them wherever. We're looking at them 2 to 3 times a day. You are working out. You are reading 10 pages of a personal development book every single day. You are doing 3 it's social media posts, but it was Instagram stories. He was very specific about that. It took me a minute to understand that. The fifth thing was 5 reach outs. So whether that's on social media, whether you make calls, whether you meet with people, reaching out to prospects or customers in order to grow your business. And if you do those 5 things over and over again every single day, these are non-negotiable, it was amazing how much it really did have an effect. Now, I will say, it's worth noting that I think we as an organization, and I do a lot of content, but I hadn't been doing stories. I hadn't been using Instagram or Facebook for stories. And I was blown away by the results of the first month I did this. It probably 5x'd my reach on Instagram and Facebook by me. I was already doing posts, right? And was doing some reels on Instagram. But by adding stories, that behind the scenes, sort of as I was talking to Jeff in my office, it's like creating the behind the scenes vlog of your day without having to go through the editing and all that sort of thing. I mean, it literally, 2 to 5x'd our reach, my personal reach, over the course of a month. And so those 5 daily non-negotiables have been really, really cool. And I continue on with them. That's the second lesson. Number 3 was how to make goals inevitable. Now, if you follow me at all, I talk a lot about goals. I talk about the 5 F's of goal setting and how you want to have different areas of your life that you set goals. And so when he started talking about goals, I had that moment where I was like, yeah, I know. But he broke it down in a way that I had not heard before, and it was really helpful. So he said that in any area of your life, you set that giant goal, right? That goal that is the thing that you want to become. And he uses the idea of becoming a fitness model. And then you say, okay, you break it down and say, now, what does that look like in a year? What will, and be specific about the year. So that might be 9% body fat. It'll be this much that you weigh. Here's, get specific about your yearly goal. And then go back as far as what your daily habits would be, sort of like those 5 daily non-negotiables. But his whole idea is to create habits on a daily basis that make that crazy big goal inevitable. I just love the phrasing of that, where if you do this every single day, it's non-negotiable. If you do it every single day, then that big crazy dream that everybody thinks is wacko is just inevitable. It just for sure will happen. And I just love that concept where it was like, okay, almost all of our big goals and our big dreams and the things we want to chase really come down to our daily habits. And if we are intentional about creating those things that we absolutely will do, our goals become inevitable. I just love that. I thought that was really cool. That was the third thing. And then the fourth thing wasn't specifically from the program, but it's kind of me studying a lot of different people, and that there's not one way to succeed, right? And I think that, I follow a lot of the sort of celebrity entrepreneurs, and I think many of them have so many good things to share. And I feel good about pushing those things into my brain on a regular basis. The Ed Milet's, the Alex Hormozis, Cody Sanchez, Dan Martell, all these, John Acuff, these people who I talk about and I listen to on a regular basis. But I think one of the dangers we fall into when we do kind of follow that celebrity entrepreneur is like their way is the only way. And the more I'm around, the more I realize that that's just not true. Dan Martell has his system, his way of doing things. Alex Hormozi says, you can only do one business. That's the only way you can succeed. Cody Sanchez says, you need to buy a bunch of businesses. What I think you need to do is to take the best from each of those teachings and then apply it to where you are in the season in your life. Like, I will tell you that Alex Hormozi's concept about focus was really important to me where I was, because I had shiny object syndrome. I was chasing all kinds of different opportunities. And so I needed to hear Alex Hormozi talking about focus when I heard it. But I don't think that I should forego every opportunity just because Alex said so. And I think the lesson there is that there's not just one way to succeed, and being willing to kind of dive into each one of these and apply them to your life is how each of us kind of creates our own path. Because one of the things I think we can fall into a dangerous trap is we all want someone to just show us the way. But the irony is each one of these people are doing it their way. There wasn't an Alex Hormozi playbook before Alex. There wasn't a Gary Vaynerchuk playbook before Gary. And so we have to take the lessons they give us and then forge our own path. So those are my 4 lessons. And I think one of the questions I'm going to get about the Dan Martell Elite Coaching Program is, was it worth it? And here's the answer. Yes. Yes, it was. It was absolutely worth it. I did it for the 2 months. There are a lot of people in that program that keep going and going. I got what I needed to out of the program. Whether I go back to it or not, I don't know, but I am really glad I spent that money, and I feel like I got plenty of value back out of it. And I think that's the truth of most of those programs. If we dive into it with our whole soul, we're going to pull stuff out of it. And I think that what I would encourage you today is to think of lesson number 1 out of this is be willing to invest in yourself and be willing to be coached. And if you do that, good things will happen in your life. Hey, I hope this has provided you some value today. If so, please feel free to subscribe, share, or rate the podcast wherever you are listening to it. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.